Hello, 7th grade students. Welcome back to another online lecture for 7th grade science. This is Mr. Schlegel speaking, and I will be talking with you today about the cardiovascular system, the body's transport system. And the reference for this lecture will be pages 102 to 113 in your book. So, if you want to look at that as we talk, you're sure welcome to. Otherwise, just hang on to your hats, and here we go. First slide here, we've got a question mark. We've got a large gasoline engine and a very large replica of a heart. The question is, how are these two things the same? The car engine and the heart. And of course, the answer would be they both are obviously necessary to the system they run. They also work to pump things out towards the rest of the car. So the engine pumps out energy as it's created, which then drives the wheels and all that, whereas the heart pumps out blood, which carries necessary nutrients, carries oxygen, also carries carbon dioxide and waste products. As I was searching and getting ready to do this presentation, I kept coming upon these amazing, interesting facts about the heart, and my mind just kept being blown over and over again. Blown over and over again as I look at these, and these are just some kind of interesting facts. A drop of blood goes through the body in less than 1 minute, so it covers the whole body. In an average person, the heart will beat more than 2.5 billion times in a lifetime. I don't know about you guys, I went for a jog earlier today, and after about 5 minutes, my leg muscles were already tired and cramping up, and that's muscles that get a rest like 10 to 12 hours a day. 8 hours sleeping, the other 4 maybe sitting, whereas the heart never stops. It goes 2.5 billion times in a lifetime. Your corneas, which are the outer covering of your eyes, are the only body part that does not get a supply of blood. Kitchen faucet, you've got to have it turned on full speed for 45 years just to equal the amount of blood pumped by the heart in an average lifetime. The heart has its own electrical system, so it can actually continue to beat separated from the body as long as it has a supply of oxygen. Now, obviously, if it's separated from the body for long, it's kind of tough to get oxygen, but kind of cool, own electrical system. Here is a picture of a whale's heart, and this is a real one, not a fake picture. And some other interesting things, I just couldn't stop looking these up, so I figured I had to share them with you. The heart starts beating 4 weeks after conception. So 4 weeks after a mommy loves a daddy, and you get a sperm and an egg combining, there's a heartbeat in this new being, this new human. Women's hearts generally beat faster than men's hearts, and your blood vessels, when all put together, would go over 60,000 miles. A blue whale's heart weighs over 1,300 pounds. Now, the picture here I don't think is a blue whale's heart, but it is a whale's heart, and that is way, way, way bigger than any of you will ever be. What's the point of the heart? Now, the heart gets a lot of misrepresentation in life. It gets used as the source of follow your heart. No, don't follow your heart. Follow your brain. And my heart is broken. Well, that's actually not your heart being broken. That is your brain, again, your feelings being hurt. There was a girl in college who I thought I loved, but she didn't even know I existed. So she was a senior and I was a freshman. Then she started dating some guy. My heart was not broken because I was still alive and it was still pumping. I wasn't spilling blood all over inside my body. The cardiovascular system, though, has 4 main functions. So these are the things that it does do, not the things that society might tell you it does. First is to deliver materials, chemical messengers like hormones, oxygen, glucose. It also removes waste, so it takes those wastes away from the cells, whether it be carbon dioxide or other forms of waste, toxins that are in the liver. The liver cleans it out. The blood takes it to the liver where they get cleaned out. Also, the kidneys do the cleaning. It also regulates temperature, change in blood flow and skin can help either get rid of heat or to keep it. The vessels will change shape and sizes in order to either warm you up or cool you down. And finally, it fights disease. The white blood cells in your blood attack invaders, whether that be bacteria, virus, just particles that are not supposed to be around. Here's the structure of the heart. If you can see the picture at the right, I know the words are kind of hard to read. In class, you will go over the structure of the heart a little more in depth. You'll be able to see some diagrams as well as an actual heart. There are 4 chambers, and this is very similar to mammals. All mammals have 4 chambered hearts. Fish generally will have 2 chambered hearts. There are other species that have 3 chambered hearts. But humans, some others have 1 chambered heart, but we have 4 chambers, 2 atria, that's the plural of atrium, and 2 ventricles. The right atrium, which you can see in the picture is in blue, receives blood from the body. The right ventricle then pumps that blood to the lungs so it can get oxygen. And then the left atrium receives the blood back from the lungs. The left ventricle then pumps the blood out to the body. So in the 2 spots that are red, the blood has oxygen in it. Now when you look at this picture and you think left and right, you want to picture this heart coming out of your chest. So everything is kind of flipped. You've got right on the left side, left on the right side. You want to picture it coming out of your body as you would look down on it on your chest. If you've got your computer or your iPad or whatever you're looking at on your chest, that would be the right directions. The heart parts, the atria, are kind of like hallways, kind of gathering spots. And that's where blood pools, so where blood comes when it returns to the heart. The ventricles, and you'll notice in any pictures you see, are much thicker than the atrium because they are strong pumpers. The right ventricle pumps to the lungs, the left ventricle pumps to the body, just like this old man who looks like quite a pumper and probably did quite a few steroids in his day. The valves inside your heart make sure blood doesn't go backwards, and that can become a problem when oxygen-rich blood would mix with oxygen-poor blood. Also, you wouldn't be pushing as much blood as you need to. And when you're not getting enough blood, that's when you get like lightheaded, your muscles get tired quickly, blood's just not getting where it needs to be. The septum is that thick piece of tissue that separates the ventricles so blood with oxygen doesn't mix with blood that has no oxygen. A lot of times the septum is what has a hole in it if you hear somebody has a hole in their heart. And then what happens in the ventricles, the oxygen rich mixes with the oxygen poor, so the blood going out doesn't have as high of oxygen content as what it needs. Blood moves away from the heart through arteries. They're very thick-walled and muscular. They're made of epithelial, muscle, and connective tissues. So there's a picture of that in your book, but the muscle is what kind of makes the thickness. There's connective and epithelial there as well. Question is, why do you think arteries are so thick? Go ahead and take a thought on that question real quick. Now, arteries are so thick because there's a lot of pressure in them. As the heart pumps through a pretty narrow area, it puts a lot of pressure on the walls of those arteries. So they've got to be nice and thick in order to keep from bursting. If you had only one layer, it could easily burst under the pressure put on by the heart. The main artery in the body is called the aorta. It comes directly out of the heart, and then it actually fuels the upper body and lower body with blood. The blood comes back to the heart through something called capillaries and veins. The capillaries connect the arteries, so the blood goes from the arteries into the capillaries, then to the veins, and it carries blood through tissues. So all your tissues in your body have little capillaries in it, and that's where the blood kind of percolates through or filters through your tissues. These are very tiny. Some places only one blood cell can move through these at once. The veins have thinner walls than the arteries. They're about the same size, made of 3 types of tissue, has smooth muscle to force blood back to the heart. Veins also have valves in them to keep gravity from making blood go the wrong direction. So when your heart pumps, it pushes the blood, then the valves snap shut, don't let blood come back. Then the heart pumps again, they open, blood goes, they flap closed again so they can't come back. So you think like in your legs where blood's got to be pumped back up your legs, these valves are very important. The superior vena cava drains the upper body, while the inferior vena cava drains the lower body. So think superior is the upper body, inferior the lower body. There are two loops of blood travel. Loop 1 goes to the lungs and back, gets oxygen from the lungs, takes it to the rest of the body. At the same time, it gives the carbon dioxide into the lungs to be breathed out. So the waste go, the oxygen comes in. Loop 2 then carries blood to the body, delivers the oxygen, and then returns back to the heart with the waste products in order to be filtered through the kidneys as well as the liver, and then finally into the lungs to get rid of the carbon dioxide, again back in loop 1. Blood pressure is just the force with which the ventricles contract and cause blood pressure. Now you think this, if you look at the picture there with the hose, if you turn it on really high and you make the opening very small, then there's a high amount of pressure. You can see with like the pressure washer. If you turn it on really high but you have a really big thing to go through, it doesn't have that much pressure. So the wider, the better. If you get a bunch of plaque or fatty tissue built up on the inside of your arteries, then you have higher blood pressure. And that is kind of there's many things that can lead to higher blood pressure, but basically it's kind of the thinning, the narrowing of your arteries. Blood pressure that is too high can damage these vessels. I pledge allegiance to knowledge. When you cover your heart, let's make sure we are covering the right spot. The heart is right behind your sternum, just a little bit to the left. So it's not clear on your left side, it's more towards the center of your chest, behind the sternum, and just turn just a little bit to the left. So make sure when we're covering that, we cover the middle of our chest, not clear over on the left, because you don't want to look like a bunch of nerds and have everybody laughing at you, right? Because I know that's what people look at, like national anthem, Pledge of Allegiance. They're making sure you're covering your heart, not covering your chest, right? So we want to be in the middle of the chest, just a little bit to the left. And that is the end of our cardiovascular system. We'll have another short lecture on blood and blood parts coming shortly, but what we just learned covers from 102 to 113, and it covers the heart as well as the blood vessels. Hope you learned something today. Peace out, nerds.